Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're putting on our detective hats. We're going to take a journey from the chilling, centuries-old lore of the Bermuda Triangle straight into the fascinating, evidence-based, scientific reality. So let's dive right in and separate the facts from the fiction. Let's start our investigation on December 5th, 1945. Picture this. It was supposed to be a perfectly routine, 3-hour U.S. Navy training mission flying east over the Atlantic from Florida. But about 2 hours in, the squadron leader reported sudden, catastrophic compass failures. They pulled out their backup compasses and, well, those failed too. The crew became completely disoriented as the weather worsened, and eventually, all radio contact just went dead. The outcome was an absolute tragedy. Led by a highly experienced pilot and war veteran, all 5 torpedo bombers of Flight 19 vanished entirely. Despite massive search efforts, investigators were left with absolutely nothing. 0 bodies, 0 wreckage, just an empty ocean. But wait, it gets even more horrifying. The Navy immediately launched one of the largest air and sea rescue operations of its time. A massive Mariner aircraft took off with a crew of 13 people, specifically to find Flight 19. And incredibly, that rescue plane completely disappeared too. Not a single trace of it was ever found.
Now, what's truly terrifying here is the sheer scale of the area we're talking about. These disappearances occurred in a roughly 500,000 square miles stretch of ocean mapped out between Florida, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda. Over a span of 50 years, this area, often dubbed the Devil's Triangle, is rumored to have swallowed 3,000 ships and 100 planes.
You know, the fear surrounding this area didn't just happen overnight. It's actually been brewing for centuries. It started way back in 1492 when Christopher Columbus reported his compass malfunctioning and saw a strange fireball crash into the ocean. But it wasn't until a 1964 article in Argosy magazine, written by Vincent H. Gaddis, that the name Bermuda Triangle was officially coined. Gaddis linked decades of historical tragedies together, permanently cementing the mystery in pop culture. One of those major historical tragedies Gaddis pointed to happened in 1918. The USS Cyclops was one of the biggest and fastest ships in the U.S. Navy, tasked with moving troops and coal during World War I. On March 4th, it was carrying 11,000 tons of manganese and 306 souls. The weather was totally clear. But after sending a routine departure message, the massive ship vanished without a single trace. But honestly, even more chilling is the 1881 urban legend of the Ellen Austen. As the story goes, the Ellen Austen was traveling from London to New York when it stumbled upon a completely abandoned yet fully intact vessel. The captain placed his own crew aboard to salvage it. But then a sudden storm swept in, separated the vessels, and when the captain finally tracked the ship down again, his new crew members had disappeared entirely. According to the lore, this exact cycle supposedly happened twice before the terrified owner of the Ellen Austen eventually sold the cursed vessel to a German company, and funnily enough, they renamed the ship Meta long before Mark Zuckerberg ever thought to use the name. Naturally, with stories like the Cyclops and the Ellen Austen swirling around, human imagination just ran wild. People started blaming all sorts of outlandish things for these vanishing vessels. Everything from alien abductions pulling planes from the sky, to giant sea monsters crushing hulls, to bizarre, unexplained ocean vortexes sucking ships right into the abyss. Section 2. The Detective's Pivot, Searching for Scientific Answers. It's time to step away from the spooky campfire tales and focus on finding the truth.
Our first major scientific suspect is magnetism. To understand this, we really have to look at how navigation works. The Earth has 2 North Poles, the magnetic North Pole, which is what your compass actually reads, and the geographic North Pole, which is true north. Usually navigators can easily calculate the difference between the two to stay on course.
So here's the crucial point. There are specific places on Earth called agonic lines, where these 2 poles perfectly align. If you use a compass on an agonic line, true north and magnetic north read as the exact same thing. And for the last 200 to 300 years, the 0-degree agonic line has passed right through the Bermuda Triangle area, causing massive, potentially deadly navigational confusion for pilots and sailors. We also absolutely have to add extreme physical hazards to our investigation. Satellite imagery shows us that the turquoise waters around the Bahamas and Caribbean are deceivingly shallow, packed with hidden shoals that historically trapped ships. Plus, this specific region experiences some of the highest rates of massive hurricanes and destructive waterspouts anywhere in the world. Now, another fascinating scientific suspect involves underwater methane hydrates. Think about the Dead Sea for a second. Its high salt content increases the water's density, making you float effortlessly. Well, methane does the exact opposite. If an underwater methane mud volcano erupts, it releases massive bubbles that drastically lower the water's density. If a ship happens to be directly above it, it loses all buoyancy and instantly sinks to the bottom without a single warning. Section 3. The real culprit: human psychology. To actually solve this mystery, we have to look away from the ocean and examine our own minds. And that brings us to the real core of the myth, the Baader-Meinhof effect, also known as the frequency illusion. Think about when someone in your family buys a brand new car. Suddenly, you start seeing that exact make and model everywhere on the road. The number of cars didn't actually increase. Your brain just started paying attention to them. Once people were told the Bermuda Triangle was dangerous, they focused hyper-intently on any accident there, while completely ignoring identical, tragic disappearances happening in oceans all over the rest of the world. Journalist and author Larry Kush meticulously researched these historical events and realized that a culture of mystery-mongering had taken over. Writers realized pretty quickly that spooky stories sell books, so they started fabricating details, ignoring weather reports, or exaggerating historical accounts, like that terrifying Ellen Austen ghost ship legend we talked about, simply to turn a profit on the illusion of a cursed ocean. When we look at the hard data, the myth completely falls apart. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration totally debunks the legend with this definitive statement. They confirm that there is absolutely no evidence that disappearances occur more frequently here than in any other well-traveled part of the globe. The danger is entirely a statistical illusion generated by our own focus. The U.S. Coast Guard pragmatically agrees with this. They point out a simple fact of mathematics. The area within the Bermuda Triangle sees massive volumes of commercial and private ship and airplane traffic. When you have incredibly high traffic, paired with treacherous, hurricane-prone weather and hidden shallow reefs, probability dictates that more accidents will unfortunately occur there. It's not a curse, it's just a bustling highway in a storm zone. And to deliver the final knockout punch to this legend, in 2013, the World Wildlife Fund conducted a highly detailed study ranking the world's 10 most dangerous bodies of water for shipping. Despite its terrifying reputation, the Bermuda Triangle ranked at exactly 0. It didn't even make the top 10 list. Oh, and just to neatly tie up our historical lore from the beginning of our timeline, scientists have evaluated Christopher Columbus's journals. They've confirmed that the spooky fireball he saw falling from the sky into the ocean way back in 1492 wasn't an alien craft or a demonic portal. It was simply a passing meteor, viewed by a tired crew navigating a tricky part of the sea. So we've solved the case. If our own minds, combined with a bit of statistical illusion and profitable storytelling, can invent a terrifying monster out of thin air, it leaves us with one final provocative question. What other legendary, world-famous mysteries out there are just waiting for the right focused learner to look at the evidence and find the logical truth? Thanks for joining